And we are back yet again for another week of forecast for Forex. So you're going to have to excuse me. I do sound a little bit groggy. I'm a bit tired. I've been doing a lot of work at the gym and it's beating me practically to death. Anyway, I just want to jump in and kind of go over a couple of things. I have been trading on Forex.com on a slightly newer platform other than MT4, and I will kind of get into the weeds of that in the future once, like I said, our Thursday videos stop. So once our tribe kind of grows a bit more, then we'll go over some of the logistics of kind of how to navigate the Forex.com platform to trade on. So far it's different. I do like it. It's different and changes sometimes, until you can kind of really get the logistics of it and understand it. Then you're kind of left blowing in the wind, so to speak, to just try and figure things out at first. But I am slowly learning. I know that Forex.com had a webinar about the non-farm payroll last Friday when that came out, which I really love and I definitely recommend. It's free. And what will happen is they will send you a reminder the day before to let you know that the training is coming out, and you can kind of sit in live while the news takes place and then see what is happening with the market as well as there is an instructor that's been in the game for quite some time, kind of going over what exactly is happening while that volatile market is kind of running back and forth and doing its thing, and then it's kind of discussed, which is super helpful. We'll go over that, like I said, in the future, but let's just go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the weekly. We're actually going to start with AU on the weekly, rather, and just kind of move from there. So right now, price is still moving down. I can still see it moving down. We got a little bit, like we touched kind of in this area. Sorry, let me squeeze it out a bit so that it's a little more easy to see. We still haven't really gotten past here. Like, I won't be concerned or certain that we're going to be hitting a uptrend until we get past this space, and probably even I would even be able to use the EMA as a resistance to see exactly what's going to happen with price. So right now we're still kind of touching where we previously were last, in August of 2022. So until we can see it move past this, then I'm still pretty certain that we're going to be in a downtrend. We're just going to have to see exactly what happens. Let's go in on the daily and take a peek. So next week, I will be waiting to see, because, let me get rid of this, sorry, and I'm just making it worse, hold on, because price, I'm going to get a box real quick just to show you, and I could probably use one of the previous ones, but it's fine. I just want to leave those kind of where they are, just so that we can kind of remember where we were. Anyway, so I will be looking here, so essentially I'll be looking for price and what it's going to do when it gets there. So let's just put a small box just so that you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. So when price gets to this space, which is where price had previously hit back in December of 2022, it hit it and rejected it again. Same thing in December of 2022. It hit it and rejected again this year on the 4th. And then it hit it like a little bit more right here on the 19th. So I'm going to be waiting to see what price is going to do when it gets here. If we can manage to see price go a little bit further, then I'm going to be waiting to see what happens when price gets to this area to see if it's going to hold. And when I say hold, I mean continue. Is it going to continue down, or are we going to get a bounce up in here and maybe possibly some consolidation? If we get a pass through here, I'm going to be seeing, I'm probably going to be getting in on a position, because there's a decent amount of space in between here and here. And keep in mind, this is on the daily chart. So even between here and here, you could still probably collect a pretty decent amount of pips. Let's see. Let's go to the 1 hour. Shit, that looks crazy. Hold on one second. And I wonder if I'm going to be able to squeeze this up right. So again, like essentially we're looking at like it hitting here. I'm just going to put this here as like an example, and a little bit thicker. So from here, from where price is currently at, or where we'll be waiting to see what's going to happen with price, is a pretty decent amount of space. I haven't used this pip measure in a long time, so let's just for shits and giggles see what this looks like. So essentially, I mean, it could be 28 bars is what it's saying, but of course price may not move straight down. It may kind of consolidate or do its thing or whatever. But this is, and you know what, honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be reading this right. I want to say that it's about 238. But this is a decent amount of pips to be collected. So don't get confused even when we're like on the daily. Like, oh, that doesn't look like that. You know, like the profit is not even like a 1-to-1 on that kind of situation. Don't let the daily confuse you. Sorry. Wow, I've never, hold on a second. There we go. Okay, so don't let that confuse you. There's still a lot of room to be to collect quite a bit. So that's what I'll be waiting for. I'm going to be waiting to see what price is going to do when it gets to this area. If it gets to this area and it starts to reject, I am going to be hitting on a buy for at least a short period of time. Because remember, I am going to be trading on the 4-hour and the 1-hour, and then I'll probably be executing on the 15-minute. That's just a reminder from previous videos. So if we do see a rejection when we get to this level, I'm going to be looking to hit a buy until maybe about here, and then we'll see what happens between the EMA being on the top on the daily, as well as, let's see if it is on the 4. It's actually not on the 4, so we'll just have to see. We'll have to see what happens when price gets here. Are we going to be selling off, or are we going to be buying? We'll just have to wait and see. And then what I recently learned as we're moving on to EU is that support and resistance and supply and demand are slightly different. Like I said, when we're in a bigger space and our tribe grows, I want to go over some things with you to kind of help you understand it a little bit better. So let's start with the weekly real quick. I feel like I'm running my mouth, so I'm going to try to speed it up just so that we can get through this pretty quickly. Okay, so kind of going to see a trend between AU, EU, GU, same thing. With the base and the quote, if they're in the same spot, and when I say base and quote, this is what I'm talking about. Let me grab the brush tool. Actually, before I do the brush tool, I just want to make it very clear. We're focusing on this stuff in the background, this EU and the 1 week. Well, you can ignore the 1 week, that's not important. But we're going to be seeing a trend with the base. This is the base. This is the quote. Think of it like I don't know, a tree. You got the base. That's what grows the tree. That's like the easiest way, I guess, to remember it if you're going to think of something. But the base comes first. You have to have the base for anything to come next. So the base, with the base being EU and then the quoted price being the same, more than likely we're going to see a trend with AU, EU, GU, anything with anything in the beginning and then USD at the end. So more than likely it's probably going to be kind of the same scenario for anything that ends in the US dollar. And that's because of the turn that it took last week when we seen the non-farm payroll. So for right now, what it looks like is that we're still in a downtrend. Sorry. And what I'm seeing is that, what is that, pin bar? That looks like a pin bar to me, like a really good one. So I'm with that, and that's confirmation on the weekly. Let's see what the daily looks like. Even the daily looks really good. Again, we'll just basically be trying to see what's going to happen when price gets to some of these confluent areas where it had touched in the past and rejected. Even if it had been on the upswing in the past and touched that area, that still makes it a pretty confluent area, because just because this could be resistance in the past, it could now be support. So we'll just have to take a peek and see. I really don't have any flags on anything because I am still kind of just waiting to see exactly what the market is going to do. But if we could potentially see some sell-off for sure. We'll just have to see what happens when it maybe even gets around this area, as well as using the EMA as support as well. So we'll just have to see what happens. We could see some bouncing back and forth in between here for a while when it comes down to all US pairs. So let's go down to the 4-hour just to be sure. See if there's anything we need to clean up, look at here. So yeah, we're at a pretty confluent area now. We'll just be waiting to see if price is going to get a little bit lower. Once price starts to get, I would say, in this range, we're going to continue down. And then I'm going to be looking right here where price had previously touched to see exactly what's going to happen next and if I'm going to continue to keep selling it off, if that's what I'm going to do. It's all a waiting game. You have to be super patient to see exactly what the market is going to do to make your move and to make your decision on which way you want to go. So let's see. 1 hour is a little more messy, but I wanted to look at it because this is something that we are going to be, well, I am going to be personally using to trade off of this year more than anything. And that's just in an effort to collect my profit a little bit earlier. I don't know if I'd said it earlier in this episode, but I am using a demo account for the Forex.com platform because it is newer for me anyway, to use than the MT4. So with that, I didn't want to jack up my own account too badly. In an effort to learn the system a little bit better. That's why I'm using a demo account in the Forex.com platform. So still, even on the 1 hour, I'm still seeing that it's looking pretty bearish. We're just going to have to see what happens kind of when price gets to more of these confluent areas. And I like that the EMA is above, but this is again on the 1 hour, can be a little more noisy. We just gonna have to look for some of those confluent pieces like the Hakanashi and different things to help us confirm that price is going to be headed down. But it does look good so far. We're just gonna have to see what happens when price gets to this main area. So let's move over to UJ. I still have some stuff on UJ that I didn't move, and the only reason why I had it originally on there was because I'm still pretty convinced that UJ is headed in a downward direction. So let's see. Let's jump to the weekly, take a peek, stretch everything out. Or an upward direction. No, downward, direction. I think it's just taking a major pullback. I could be wrong. But we're just gonna, it's a probability game. So as of right now, we've taken a pretty good sweep up to the side. But again, you have to remember, USD is now in the base and JPY is now in the quoted. Usually when that is the case, and I've said this plenty of times on previous episodes, usually when that is the case, when they have flip-flopped and switched places, the other ones like AU, GU, UJ, or not UJ, sorry, AU, EU, GBP, USD, anything with the USD at the end will be headed down, and then anything with the USD in the beginning, which is the base, will be headed up. So for right now, it looks like we are headed up. I do have a previous area kind of highlighted right up in there. Let me get in a little bit closer so you can see. So yeah, I had a little bit of a breakout box, but we can kind of remove that because it did kind of get a little bit out of the box, and it kind of it's starting to make a little bit of a higher high, or lower high, sorry. So we'll see what happens when price gets to this area. I had previously marked off this area because price had touched there and kind of rejected, making that resistance. So we'll just have to see, keep an eye on it. As long as the EMA is above, I still feel like it's in a downtrend, even though this is headed up right now. Once we see price get to this area, then I'll be surely convinced that we are headed in a bullish direction. But until then, I feel like we are still headed in a bearish direction. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it and see what happens. Like I said, I didn't mark anything for this week because I just, especially after that news on Friday, I want to keep an eye, and before I make any moves or make any decisions on which pairs I'm going to be trading. So I'll be keeping a close eye on the market this week. So yeah, again, just kind of getting in here, confirming what we had previously looked at on the daily. Until I can see something past here, then I'll be starting to look for what's going to happen around this area, and then same thing for this area. I think that my charts are kind of messy and I should clean them up a little bit. But you get the gist, or I hope that you get the gist. And if you don't, I hope you ask me questions so that we can work through it together. So kind of the same thing, like I said, with UJ. I don't think that I'm going to be making any kind of, look at how it's kind of rejecting on the 1 hour. The 1 hour, the 30 minute, the 15 minute, those are going to be a little more noisy than like the daily or the weekly. So that's something to keep in mind. You can't always use just the 1 hour or the 4 hour for confirmation, depending upon what kind of trader you are. If you're in it for the long game, then maybe this isn't, you shouldn't be looking at the 1 hour anyway. You should be looking at the daily, looking at the weekly, maybe even the monthly, depending upon what you're trading. If you're a scalper, then yeah, you're going to be looking at the 1 hour, the 4 hour, because you're going to be wanting to get in and get out pretty quickly. As of right now, I am waiting. Scooting over to GBP USD. So I had kept this on here from, I think, the previous week, just waiting to see exactly what was going to happen. If you don't give your trade enough room to move, it will take you out before you can even get a chance to get in. Luckily, in this one, even though I don't remember, I'd have to double check. I don't think I placed a position on this week. I did place a couple of them, which I was able to profit about $217, I think, on the demo account. But I lost a couple too, like I said. But I'll have to go back and double check. I'm not 100% sure, but with this one, it was right. It happened to be right. Now, did we make it all the way down to our take profit? No. Should have been a little bit higher, probably based upon what price it previously touched. Let's go back to the weekly, which that part is going to be, the little thing is going to be hard for you to see the profit. It's going to be hard to see. I make a lot of notes just so that I can keep an eye on what's going on. I suggest you do the same, but if it starts getting in the way, definitely delete it. Like, I probably could delete some of this because it's getting a little messy. It's getting a little crazy. Okay, this is a large candle. I mean, even for the weekly, this is a large candle. It looks good, and we've got a lot of momentum. So I'm really curious about this one to see what's going to happen next week. I'm pretty confident that this one's still going to head bearish. Not 100% sure ever on anything, but this looks like a doji, like a dragonfly doji. So we're just gonna I hate to say it again, but we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see exactly what price is gonna do once it gets to this confluent area where prices previously touched, not just here, but also back in where it pierced it in June of 2022. Is same scenario. June of 2022, it pierced it. Where we get a touch around August. What is it? This is also August. We also got a touch or a pierce around November of last year. So this is a pretty confluent area. Once it gets there, I'll be looking to see exactly what it's going to do. It's a very strong possibility that it could use that as support and continue up. However, based on previous price action, price would have to get here. Price would have to get past here or around here in order for me to feel like it's changing direction and no longer going bearish. So we will see. Same scenario. So I hope that this was helpful. I will go ahead and skip US30 this week because I don't think that there was anything too crazy. I think it's more so in a consolidation space. So, and we ended it with a doji. So we'll just dojis are indecision. We can go over some candlestick patterns in the near future. But I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you have a wonderful trading week. Please, as always, if you have questions or there's something else that you would like to go over, please ask me. Please put them in the description bar. Otherwise, I can't help. All right, team. I hope that you have a great trading week. Get after it.